Hey, what's going on, guys? Just trying to figure out what is going on here with this craziness. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Let's
To
do it.
another edition of Ask Michael Ehline. This is where I teach people the law in an unorthodox manner by using examples that we see in the news, case law briefs, but it's all about exposing the Leviathan and its instrumentalities and taking back your rights. Know the law and mean to keep it well. Come here to learn from an expert to know your right. Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel.
Hey, everybody. I am attorney Michael Ehline, and as you guys know, I am an attorney licensed to practice law in California and Texas. And I primarily do catastrophic injury cases, but I also like to teach people the law. Been doing some stuff about Lane Myers, and I covered some John Felak stuff the other day. But today I'm going to circle back and get into some breakdowns of depositions and how I would object at a deposition. I don't have a whole lot of time today because I'm taking my son to judo. So I'm going to try to burn through this stuff as fast as I can. But I figured I would cover the Kanye West excerpts that we have from his Zoom deposition, as well as some excerpts from the Alex Jones deposition involving the Sandy Hook case. So the first thing I'll do is we'll talk a little bit about what was going on. He calls himself Ye now. And so on March 26th, a lawsuit was filed. March 26, 2025, a lawsuit was filed entitled Alice Merton Copyright Infringement. So, well, I don't know if that's what it's called, but anyways, Alice Merton, a German singer-songwriter, along with two corporations that she co-founded, apparently filed a lawsuit against Ye. And she claims that Ye used an unauthorized sample of a 2022 song called Blindside in his track called Gun to My Head, featuring Ty Dolla $ign and Kid Cudi. Yeah. The song premiered at a live event in Miami in December of 2023. And Merton alleges that she didn't give West permission to use the sample in February of 2024 due to his controversial values, particularly his what's so-called anti-Semitic statements, but he did it anyways, and he used it in the recording. And so after the public debut of Gun to My Head, Merton received a request from West via BMG Rights Management to use Blindside, and then she rejected that. So despite this, the sample was still used, and that led to the lawsuit. And basically they're saying that the lawsuit talks about Ye's hatred of Jews and anti-Semitism, anti-Semitic rants, including praising Hitler and threatening to go DEFCON 3 on Jewish people. Wow. As a reason for denying him the right to use the sample. And this is an active case as of the latest reports that I could find. I think there is actually a copy of the lawsuit online. I just don't have a whole lot of time to go through it. But basically, Judge Thomas in February of 2025 in Thomas Long in Los Angeles ordered that West pay a $2,560 fine and sit for a deposition by April 30th, 2025, after West repeatedly avoided or disrupted a prior deposition. And so this followed a hearing where West's attorney, Eduardo Martorell, admitted that he couldn't reach West, frustrating the court. So the behavior is that West spewed hate speech, threatened to punch him, suggested shaving students' heads and caging them once he appeared to M-bait in front of him while watching The Batman on mute. West allegedly said Hitler was great. Hitler had an innovator. He invented so many things. He's the reason we have cars. And he also said this case is one of several Donda Academy related lawsuits. West legal representatives representation has been inconsistent with prior attorneys, citing communications breakdowns. He's having a hard time holding on to a lawyer. Go figure. I wonder why. And so 3 of his companies were found in default in a similar case back in December of 24. West was sanctioned for dodging depots, yada, yada, yada. He's got notable settlements where in March of 2025, West settled lawsuits with the Donda Academy teachers Isaiah Meadows, Cecilia Haley, Checkery Byers, and Timothy Meeks, and just before the trial was scheduled. So these settlements are conditional with 45-day fulfillment periods, and they addressed discrimination in labor violations against West. And then there's another prior deposition behavior. Well, not the latest. A notable deposition included a 2021 tech lawsuit with my channel that resurfaced via A&E's interrogation raw, where he wore a mask. And that's the one I'm going to cover today. It's hilarious, man. Wow. This guy is really something. I would not want to have somebody like this as a client. But hopefully you guys get the gist of the whole Kanye. Hey, Swedish Observer, what's going on, Kevin E? Got a couple people who showed up today. Good seeing you guys. So I'm going to show you some Kanye West videos of what happened at this deposition. It's freaking hilarious, man. I'm just like, I can't stop laughing. So I figured I'd share it with you. Let's go.
Only answer my question, sir. No,
I'm asking Equine, can I go to jail off of anything related to this lawsuit?
You're not here to ask questions, sir. You're here to answer.
What you mean I can't ask my lawyer a question? You crazy?
No, you can
You don't know who you talking to. I'm not some slave of yours, boy. What you mean I can't ask my lawyer a question? That's the dumbest. Are you crazy? You just told me I can't ask my lawyer a question.
Mr. West.
What's gonna happen to me? I'm gonna go to jail?
Only answer my question, sir. No.
All right, so you got that one. You can see he's your typical scholar, highly educated. Kanye West really knows how to keep it cool, never overreacts, doesn't act like a crazy person. Clearly somebody you'd want to have a house next door to, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at another excerpt. Hey, what's going on, Just Willie? Let's go ahead and listen.
Mr. Rowe.
What is Atkinson Baker? That's the court reporter? Okay, hang on.
The court reporter service is on twice.
All right.
Madam Court Reporter, can you swear in our witness?
Yeah.
Mr. West, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly state, under penalty of perjury, that the evidence you shall give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
This is case number 220, entitled My Channel versus West.
My name is Michael Popak. Can you hear me, Mr. West?
Yes.
Okay. I see that you're looking down at probably a device. Are you on your phone?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to ask as a ground rule that you not be on your phone during the exam.
Okay, and so let me share with you why that is. Okay, so now more than ever, a lot of lawyers, including myself, do a lot of depositions via Zoom type videography through the internet. And in a regular deposition, you would have the lawyers and the client or the deponent, along with a court reporter, maybe an interpreter, in a room. And no one else is allowed in that room. And other people are, if it's a video, especially if it's videotape, you're able to observe what the deponent is looking at, what he's doing. And the idea behind not having him looking at his phone or having other people in the room other than your legal counsel is that he could be being coached. And coaching is improper. Now, if he needs to take a restroom break, go outside and talk to his attorney, that's one thing. But someone feeding him information during the hearing or during the deposition is against the rules of court in pretty much every state that I'm aware of in the union. So just so you guys know, hey, what's going on? SW Observer, SW Observer says, I really hate the German dude for fudging up quite a neat facial hairstyle. Oh man, I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah, right. I think I know who you're talking about. You mean with the mustache? All right. So let's get back in. Let's see what Mr. Personality Kanye West has to say. Mr. Professional Victim, right? Kanye West has to say.
Can we agree to that?
Well, is that legally what it should be?
I'm not going to advise you as to the law. That's why your lawyers are here. But that is my ground rule for the deposition, consistent with California law, that you need to be present, focused on the examination and not on a device.
Due to my mental geniusness, in order to focus on this bullshit, I need to be on a phone.
Counsel, do you want to speak to your client before we continue?
I think, well, Kanye, in terms of you can listen to the questions and answer them, right?
Okay, I get off the phone.
Okay, Mr. West, why have you donned a mask to start this deposition?
Because you don't have the right to see my face.
And is it your intention to wear that mask for the entire duration of your examination?
Perhaps.
Okay. So, counsel, we're going to take this up with the magistrate, but I'm not going to delay the examination. We'll do it at the break.
Kanye obviously had planned.
And the reason, and by the way, the reason why he's going to take it up with the magistrate is because the whole point of doing a videotape deposition is so you can observe, and so the jury could potentially observe later on the footage of facial expressions, furtive and non-furtive conduct. And that's the whole point. So it basically, by him putting a face mask on, he's denying a potential future jury or judge to be able to identify certain facial characteristics. You know, when people lie, they tend to look a different direction. They may look down. So there's a bunch of ways that people can look at body behavior to determine whether or not he's being honest or not. So that it's really, really important that he obviously you'd be able to see his face. But anyways, you know, let's see what this guy's got to say.
A stunt. He had that mask in his pocket. He was just looking for the appropriate moment during the deposition. I'm in for a ride. My goal was to stay on that Bronco as long as I could.
Shalom, 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 and welcome back to another DSTM. I am the messenger. Yeah, so this is gonna be quick, man. Kanye, classic Kanye. Man, Kanye don't give a damn, man. This is why they hate Kanye. This is why they hate Ye, man. He's gonna come out. He's gonna say what's going on with him. He's gonna speak his mind, his heart. He gonna just put it all out on the line.
So it's
not showing no respect or respect any. He done made, you know, he's a pain.
I'm just
2020 as if
it's all just he's just okay.
This is classic Ye.
All right.
Put us back.
All right. So we're done listening to this guy. He's just rambling on about nonsense. So, okay. So basically, I just wanted to share that with you, that the whole point here is, hey, Life Under, the whole point is you're not supposed to be wearing a mask at a deposition. So I just wanted to share that with you. I guess his name is Ye now, and he's a professional victim, obviously. And so he's been sued multiple times. He engages in erratic behavior, gets really loud whenever people are try to be polite to him, to ask him to keep it down, because he's very loud at restaurants and places that he goes. And he takes that as an insult and gets violent and physical. Very strange. I don't know too many people like that, but he fits that role. So I don't know. What do you think, Life Under? It's pretty unusual behavior. I don't know of too many people in the population as a whole that behave that way. Probably just a very small portion of the population. Can you guess what that percentage might be? Put it in the comments if you know. Now, let's move into the next deposition, and I'm going to start it out first with I'm going to segue into an old video that I did where I covered CIA involvement in the prosecution in a defamation claim against Alec Jones over the Sandy Hook lawsuit. And as usual, an undercover reporter was able to track down one of these insider, a CIA/FBI agent. And I guess what they do is it's usually a gay guy, and they'll get a undercover reporter to have sex with these guys and then eventually get them to open up, and they'll film them at a restaurant. And so this is an admission of an actual CIA FBI employee. And you'll never hear any of this stuff on CNN or MSNBC or government-run media. They never cover these stories, even though it's actually people being caught on tape admitting that they're using your tax dollars to violate your rights. It's unbelievable. So let's go ahead and watch a little bit about this video, and you tell me what you think. So I just want you to keep watching this with an open mind, because I want you to start thinking like they teach you in the Marine Corps. You better start thinking. Let's go.
You create the situation to where they have no choice but to act on their impulse.
And once they act on that impulse, then we call that entrapment. It's a fine line.
Does the Bureau practice entrapment a lot?
We get really close.
Not officially.
No. We get as close as we can. We get as close as we can to it without doing it.
So they can entrap some of these pro-lifers into doing.
Hey, Stomper, good to see you, bud.
Yeah. We call it a nudge.
A nudge.
A nudge. Sometimes you just gotta get a quick
GBO.
just to see what happens, right?
And how does that happen?
You put a post out there, or
Okay, so I just want to give this some context. People don't really understand. So the CIA, they're experts at profiling people, building a profile on people overseas. They're not supposed to do it here. Our overseas adversaries, to profile them, find out what makes them tick, and find out what triggers them. And so they're pros at that. So what he's admitting to is they're targeting domestic emails and domestic profiles, trying to find out a little bit about each poster, and then figuring out how to push their buttons to get them to act in a way that could trigger them. For example, look, these transvestites that have been running around shooting people at these school shootings. There are certain profiles that they're experts at the CIA know of where they can trigger people like that easily. People who are suffering from mental illness are easily triggered. So they know, their profilers know how to do that. So they can set off operations by triggering people overseas. They could literally trigger someone over in the Ukraine or something, give them Bitcoin to go across the border, and maybe target someone over in Russia. They have the ability to do that. These people are pros. So I just want you to think with an open mind about all the potential things that are coming into play when they're talking about targeting domestics, because the CIA's job is foreign intelligence gathering and protection of the U.S. shoreline, not internal defense. That's what we have an FBI for. So not that I agree with what the FBI does either, because they're also illegally targeting our citizens, as we just found out on March 4th. But let's just keep watching this video.
or you have someone fake profile, say something that triggers, that we know is going to trigger them, right? Like we already know your history. If we're to that point, we already know everything about it. So we're like, oh, this will piss them off. Sometimes you light the fuse and just wait for it to follow, right?
Like a rally, like a, so when a rally happens, that sometimes the bureau behind it?
Yeah, sometimes. Nothing like putting on a fake social media thing to like really get people mad. Post fake news. Sometimes it's not fake. It's embellished a little bit.
Who would be like a big influencer that you're after? You're like a, I don't know, like a, I don't even know these names, like a Fox News person or like a Tucker Carlson or like.
Oh, I'm sure he's right. He always wants the biggest and loudest. Like that, what was his name? The one that said the Sandy Hook didn't happen.
Alex Jones.
Yeah, so we were after him.
You are? Are you still after him? Why?
Because he's broke.
So here we go. So this is a CIA agent who also works for the FBI saying we were after him. And we know that the Biden administration, as well as Obama, had a penchant for targeting gun owners, people who buy Bibles. And there was a March 4 report last year that came out proving through Congress that there was a secret spying program against people who believe in homeschooling, people who buy Bibles, people who shop at Dick's Sporting Goods or Cabela's as domestic violent extremists. And this CIA agent is admitting right now at a restaurant on a hidden camera that the CIA was targeting Alex Jones. And of course, Sandy Hook, just to give you the backstory, Alex Jones was claiming that Sandy Hook was a government CIA operation where the CIA, in tandem with the Democrats, of course, are trying to get gun laws passed. And so they have what's called a false flag operation to get these gun laws passed. And they bring in crisis actors. And Alex Jones pointed out that he believed that this was that case. And so now we have an actual member of the CIA admitting, yeah, we were actually targeting Alex Jones. Apparently, they didn't like the fact that he was trying to expose what was going on with Sandy Hook. So let's keep listening. It's pretty amazing.
He got found guilty and had to pay like $100 million.
So I'm going to give you some context. So obviously the guy's not a lawyer, even though he does contracts. He wasn't found guilty. He was found liable in a civil defamation case. But based on what this agent is saying, it sounds like somehow the CIA gave aid and comfort to the defendants, the plaintiffs in that case, or through the court system, to make sure that they convicted Alex Jones. And of course, Alex Jones was arguing this was a CIA false flag operation where all of the victims were crisis actors. So it's just interesting. Like, why would the CIA even care? I just want you, use your critical thinking. Why does the CIA care about some whack job who's claiming that there is a crisis? This is a crisis actor. But not only do they care, but it sounds like they're helping the plaintiffs, or they're coaxing the plaintiffs to go after Alex. And it sounds like there's some favor through the court system or something. And so Alex is freaking pissed. So we're going to keep on watching this, because I'm just blown away that this is happening. I'm trying to do this as quick as I can, because I want to give you context as to why Alex is so upset.
So why were you after him?
We're not anymore.
Just to get the money from him?
Yeah.
Was that court case used? Was that in CIA?
Sure it was.
That was the agency thing?
Well, actually, it was a defamation case. So it's a civil government. But we were looking at all of his followers, commenting, oh, like, who's that going to be this to, right? So even though it's technically not not the agency, definitely, but the Bureau, for instance. Yeah,
All right. So there you go. So you have an admission that Twinkle Toes over here was surveilling domestics, people who follow Alex Jones. There's not like a whole bunch of Alex Jones followers in Russia, for example. That's Alex Jones has a lot of followers, especially in America and the Deep South. It's his audience. It's a lot of his audience. So he's saying, yeah, we were just targeting the followers to see where that might lead us to, trying to figure out a way to get them in trouble too, it sounds like. So just think about that. He's basically admitting, yeah, we just illegally surveilled people without a warrant, even though we're not allowed to. Oh, well, nobody's going to do anything, because just like what happened to Peter Strzok, remember him? Nothing happened to him. And he was getting illegal warrants to try to interfere with an election and a sitting president. And the traditional news media just covered for him. So nothing's going to happen. So let's go ahead and watch the rest of it.
It's not our purview. It's a civil matter. Since they got all this access to his stuff and it's there, what can we go find?
Okay, so here's another thing. When he says, okay, so he kind of gave away a little bit. Okay, being a lawyer, so in a civil case, you get discovery back and forth. And so those people sued Alex Jones, and presumably they got access to his financials, access to his contacts, his sources and methods from at least one of those plaintiffs in that case. So my guess is Twinkle Toes over here was sharing information back and forth with the plaintiffs in that case and gathering data without a warrant on Alex Jones. And I think that's probably what was going on here. Put it in the comments if you think that's probably what was going on. Let's go ahead and keep on watching this guy.
And did you find anything?
I can't determine if we did. But so, it's just kind of like, realize the opportunity that
Hey, Uniquer.
So with Alex Jones, you were watching him long before anything ended up happening.
It wasn't my office, but I mean, we would have been well aware of what he was doing.
And the goal with him was what? Just to bankrupt him?
Oh, pretty much. And we let the families do it.
All right, so you kind of got that. So the CIA had a stated goal to bankrupt Alex Jones. Can you believe that? So we're gonna keep on playing this. This is just blowing my mind. All right, hold on. It's crazy. Put in the comments if you agree with me that this is what our founding fathers warned us against.
What?
We let the families do it.
Were they encouraged to do that by the Bureau? Like a nudge?
We don't encourage people, but like we just say there's no federal statute being broken, but you do have the option for a civil case. It's a pretty good case.
Civil K.
So basically, he's sort of admitting that the CIA or the FBI, the great Leviathan, is coaching family members. And of course, we know that their insiders always are good at finding other nonprofit organizations who all can make a little piece of the action, right? Maybe send it off to someone like a Gloria Allred, one of their buddies, to get that case going. And of course, we know that the big fear is, how the mafia used to do it, where they'd pay off the jurors or the judge would be on the take. And we know judges have been on the take. So, when the same people writing everyone's paychecks, including the judge and everyone else, is all the same organization, the same country writing the same check, a lot of people get scared. So that's why this kind of stuff needs to stop, because this takes people, the other half of the country that doesn't support Biden and the administrative state and Marxism and whatnot, it makes them uneasy, because everything that they were called a conspiracy theorist over has now become true. So naturally, they're going to be a little uneasy when a guy like this comes along. So let's go ahead and hear what else he's got to say.
In our opinion. So, that makes so much sense. I have a cousin who's a lawyer, so that's a lot of these cases. They're kind of encouraged by the FBI.
Yeah, like federal law we can do, but civilly we can go at them that way.
So, and this is why. And by the way, so arguably here, based on what he's saying, is he's basically saying that the FBI and the CIA and these other people that they're encouraging are all instrumentalities of one another, and they're all basically state actors. You've got state action enticing, encouraging, maybe even in some way helping encourage lawsuits against people they disagree with politically. And of course, again, we know that the agency heads are run by far left people who do not support the concept of individual rights, who do not support the Second Amendment, who think that the First Amendment hamstrings the government. Remember that. These are those people. These are the people who would have supported the Hobbesian philosophy, the so-called deep state. And then on the other side, you have more the people who believe in like having an organic farm, the people who believe in homeschooling, the people who don't want to be tracked when they drive their vehicles, the people who don't want to have to go through a radiation machine every time they get on an airplane. They're considered to be an enemy of the state by the present administration, based upon the March 4th report that I just disclosed a few weeks back. And now based upon this video, which we're going to keep watching. So here we go.
And they did. So the FBI was happy.
We didn't care. We were like, oh.
Basically, the citizens did your job.
Yeah.
Wow, so you can encourage a civil lawsuit.
Not encourage. Educate.
What can you do with people like Alex Jones now? Because he's still out there. He's still chirping.
He can chirp.
They still watching him?
Yeah.
Why?
We did what we wanted.
They did what they wanted. So what they did is what they do when they try to replace foreign presidents. They discredited him. And when we know from Operation Mockingbird, and we know from how the Rockefellers took over our education system with help from politicians, that most of our populace are reactionary thinkers, because that's the way public schools taught them to think. So this type of stuff, CNN can just come out and say everything this guy said is all BS, and the guy who questioned him is a right-wing radical who voted for Trump, and that'll be enough for about half the country to just write this off. But the other half are the critical thinkers who believe in natural law theory. So they don't buy any of this stuff, and they think that they are being targeted because Congress has already said they're being targeted, and there's evidence of it. So despite the fact that a whistleblower might have voted Republican, if he comes out with verified documents and emails showing that people are being targeted, then that's evidence. But to the other people, they suffer from cognitive dissonance. And so there's nothing that I can say or do. I could show you a smoking gun image of someone getting shot, and you would rather say that that person deserved it because he was a Trump supporter than admit that the other guy that shot him was guilty of murder, because that is the reactionary thinking model from our public school system. So let's go ahead and keep on watching this.
Which was what?
Took his money away. We shut him up for a while. You're never going to shut him up for anything.
Unless you put him in prison.
But again, he didn't do anything about prison. Being ignorant is not a crime, though. It should.
Well, you see that? I mean, he says he'd like to lock people up who are ignorant. Because to him, anybody who supports parental rights, right, like people who, to his side of the political spectrum, if you don't support sexualization of children K through 12, you're ignorant, or you're a homophobe or a bigot, right? If you support just teaching your kids reading, writing, and arithmetic, that makes you an enemy of the National Education Association, because they want to control every aspect of the way your child thinks, because it makes them a better voter for the things that they want. And usually what they want is more power, better pensions, and of course what we see them doing is lowering educational standards so they can say people are still passing, because that way they can justify their salaries. But in reality, we've just been in a race to the bottom ever since we eliminated classical education. And that's in a video I have on my profile. I think it's a couple of shorts that I did about the Rockefeller takeover based on the Prussian model of education. We're going to go back into this because I want you to really look deep and hard and listen to what he's saying, because you should be terrified if the things he's saying are true.
It is. I mean, what you could bring a nudge. He didn't incite a riot like Cheeto. He didn't encourage people to go shoot people. He didn't do it.
Additionally, Oblenis states that he knows and works with FBI agents who were undercover in the January 6th Capitol riot, estimating about 20 field agents were there undercover. While Oblenis notes that they were not involved in violence, this appears to be the first admission of undercover FBI agents in attendance.
I thought you said that there were FBI agents in the crowd at J6.
There always are when there's a big protest in DC, just in case it gets out of hand like that. There wasn't enough to turn that tide. I mean, I'm talking, you need to have 20. You needed 1,000 to get rid of that crowd.
So they had like, that was just 20?
Yeah, just to go through and see what I can hear, that kind of thing.
Wow. Definitely. They needed 1,000 at least.
Well,
Wow.
see, that's also Capitol Police jurisdiction. They're in charge.
So that,
Okay, so this is kind of interesting because I've heard a lot about this. So what I'm hearing is that Trump put some posts up on social media for people to not riot, to be calm and relaxed, and that was all deleted by big tech, guys like Zuck and his FBI, CIA buddies who work over there for Meta, and they deleted all that stuff. And I also have seen footage where the Capitol Police were letting people into the building, and then I also see other footage of people rioting. But then you hear this guy saying that security was up to Capitol Police, not to the FBI. Well, Capitol Police, DC, another far left organization. So we know now that the CIA, FBI, and all these people are like examining email accounts, that they're looking at everybody's social media. So you'd think that they would have known there was going to be a potential riot. We know now that the January 6th committee hid a bunch of evidence, which we now have found because of the Twitter files, thank God, showing that Antifa was there dressed as Trump supporters. So, and we know that there were FBI, CIA, and other individuals there undercover. So we're trying to understand, how much of this was really like Trump people and how much of this was agitators, because so much stuff was hidden and destroyed and concealed to try and paint a false narrative by people like Liz Cheney. We don't know the truth. And so people want to know the truth. And this makes me want to know the truth more. Put it in the comments if this makes you want to know the truth more too. I'm going to keep on playing this. This is really interesting to me.
They didn't have more on hand? I don't know.
the Bureau didn't really want people knowing that they were in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
That would be overstepping their bounds.
A little bit.
Do people know that?
Why?
Do people know that the Bureau was in the crowd?
Nope, you probably never will.
You know agents that were there?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah. They work for the agency now.
So he knows somebody. He knows someone who worked for the agency. Who was there. So we kind of, you kind of get the gist of it. Okay, this guy is the way they're catching these guys, these government employees. It's usually a gay guy who runs ahead, or a guy who works for pharma who's a gay guy, and these undercover journalists, they go and they start having a romantic relationship with them, get them to open up, and they take them out to public where they can legally record them, and they get them to make all these admissions and confessions. And of course, invariably, they're always radical, far left, almost like Marxists, and they're in powerful positions, running large companies, running government agencies, usually holdovers from Obama, for example, if they're in government. And they're just absolutely just completely rewriting the script, man. I mean, you're showing up at school board meetings, when parents are there protesting against the secret transgendering of their children by these radicals that run the schools, or protesting against books that would be considered pornography if they were at a bookstore, but somehow it's okay to have them in a K through 12 school library. And you're a bigot, homophobe, and censor monkey if you want them away from your children. And so that's kind of what we're dealing with these guys. And he's of that ilk. So that's part A of this exercise we're doing today. By the way, hey, Brick Jonesy, what's going on? I want to say thanks to you, Neeker, coming on, and Stomper, OTVO, overturned Terry versus Ohio. I agree. And everybody, give me a bunch of ones if you.
All right, so that's part one of today's, well, part two of today's show, as we segue into some Alex Jones depositions. Because Alex Jones, by the way, he looks great now, guys. He's lost a ton of weight. He works out on a regular basis. He's selling vitamin supplements now on his channel. And as you guys know, he went bankrupt, like billions of dollars in judgments against him. And now we know that the CIA was actually assisting the plaintiffs in that case to go after him, which is just totally shocking to me. And we see the type of people that are at the CIA and the FBI, far left, Marxist, pro-union, pro-Obama, pro-Biden guys, the same kinds of guys who got fake warrants against Trump, right? Like Peter Strzok and Lisa Page with their insurance policy. And they're still orchestrating all this stuff. And so I think in large degree, that's why Doge was created, to try to weed these guys out, to try to stop their funding so they can no longer engage in these types of activities against regular Americans. But let's go into the next video now. And by the way, I want to thank everybody for showing up. Life Under the Microscope, Donald Hill, Lynn Davidson. Yeah, Project Veritas was amazing. Amazing how the government and all the far left news media, right, government-run news, tried to say that Project Veritas is fake when they're literally recording these people admitting that they're violating the Constitution and the rights of the American people. And people are so stupid that they actually believe anything these morons that are bought and paid for by Big Pharma or, you name it, say. I mean, look at where their funding comes from. Look who's paying the news media. That's why I encourage people to watch my channel. I don't take any money from any sponsors. I just tell the truth and I try to give you the legal perspective. Right, Kevin E? Right, Just Willie? Right, Sticky Wicked Thoughts? Right, Darth Nerd? Yeah, and I definitely hunt, Darth. I am a hunter. Just Willie, SW Observer. Good seeing you guys. So let's check out. Well, I wanted you guys to watch this video because you could really get a handle on what a dickhead the attorney for the plaintiff is, and just to kind of show you how not to be. If you're going to be a lawyer, don't act like the guy who's cross-examining Alex Jones. Listen, he's such a jerk. Just listen to him.
Mr. Jones, I'm going to hand you a copy of what I have marked as Exhibit 4. You ever seen that before?
I don't remember.
You're not sure if you've seen this before?
No.
Okay. You'll see up at the top it has a timestamp, 12/14/12.
Yes.
You know that's the date of Sandy Hook, right?
I don't know.
You don't know that?
What is that today?
It is.
Okay.
It is, Mr. Jones. You will admit, I mean, you've done mocking imitations of Sandy Hook parents crying, correct?
Objection assumes facts, not an evidence. Objection lacks foundation. Objection argumentative.
No.
I want to play you a video clip, too, from September 24th, 2014 and November 11th, 2016. Will you play the video clip called Crying?
And then you've got parents laughing, and they walk over to the camera and go, not just one, but a bunch of parents doing this. Then we see footage of one of the reported fathers of the victims, Robbie Parker, doing classic acting training where he's laughing and joking, and they say, hey, we're live. And he goes, oh. And maybe that's real. I'm sure it is.
You realize now you were mocking the difficult emotional
Objection assumes facts, not an evidence. Objection lacks foundation. Objection argumentative. Objection conjunctive, disjunctive, compound, you name it.
reactions of people who provably lost their children.
Assumes facts, not an evidence.
No, I was not mocking. I was showing what people were questioning. It was not to mock the parents. It was showing why people were questioning. It's you that is projecting mocking onto it. I was showing what he did.
Starting into 2015, you learned that a Sandy Hook parent named Leonard Posner was behind a group called Honor Network. Correct? That was fighting online abuse of Sandy Hook victims?
Objection assumes facts, not an evidence.
Did, I think.
And when you learned that, and when Honor complained to YouTube in 2015, you told your viewers that Honor was run by Mr. Posner. You showed addresses being used by Mr. Posner, and you said he needed to be
Objection compound, objection argumentative.
investigated in Florida. Didn't you say that?
Objection as to form.
Assumes facts not in evidence.
No.
Okay, let's play a clip here. I'm going to show you something that you and Mr. Dew were talking about on February 12th.
Okay, what this is this is a standard way that we would impeach a witness. So first thing you do is, like, one thing I learned a long time ago is you try to avoid asking questions at depositions that you don't already know the answer to. It's just a little trick that I learned. And, sometimes you do if you don't really know, but most of the time you kind of already do know the answer. And so when you get the wrong answer, then you can impeach. And that's what this attorney's trying to do, is impeach.
2015. You play addresses for me?
He's been getting all kinds of grief from Mr. Posner. Anything that comes out, social media shut down due to Sandy Hook false copyrights. What's interesting is they list the address for the Honor Network in Boca Raton, Florida. You look up the address on that, which says, you think, if they had this organization, they would have some sort of headquarters where they would be setting up a memorial.
Well, we'll just start investigating that. And I guess I'm going to have to probably go on up to Newtown. I'm going to have to probably go investigate Florida as well.
If a person were to stake out those addresses, they could wait for Mr. Posner to come pick up his mail, couldn't they?
Assumes facts not in evidence. Argumentative.
The guy's running an anti-free speech foundation.
Let me make sure I have this really clear. You don't believe the official story is Sandy Hook. You think there was cover-up? You think there was manipulation? You think that there is some sinister thing going on?
I still think.
And by the way, the video that I showed you earlier of that FBI CIA agent admitting that the CIA was working along with the plaintiffs to make sure that there was a finding of liability against Alex Jones, providing evidence to the defense or to the plaintiffs team. Don't you think they were involved too? Don't you think something strange was going on after a CIA and FBI agent, a dual purpose agent, admitted on hidden camera that that's what they were doing, that they had something to do with bankrupting Alex Jones? If the CIA wasn't involved, then why were they so concerned about silencing Alex Jones and crippling his media empire? Can someone tell me in the chat box why you think it was so important for an agency that's charged with investigating people outside the country was involved with trying to bankrupt Alex Jones inside the country? I'd like to know what you guys think. Let's keep going.
I think children died. I believe mass shootings happened. They just had one in Brazil, a tragedy. And I believe it's a crisis. And I go back to the point of all gun owners being collectively blamed. Then it's traumatic. And so people go and they find anomalies. And then I've kind of retrospectively gone back and seen how I did believe that stuff. And then I go back and I've now studied more, actually, the real anomalies. And it's just the school system and government trying to cover its rear end from liability. And so there definitely has been there's been a cover up of the events. And I think there's a lot of evidence showing there could have been a second shooter. There is the helicopter footage of the man in the woods.
All right, so just give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. I just had to check on something. All right, so the bottom line is that's the deal. So that's the deposition. I actually wanted to do the breakdown of the full deposition because this attorney, it was such a rude dick to Alex Jones. I want to show it to you to show you how not to treat people at depositions. But now let's go into the court testimony and see how the interplay of how it works in the court system when you're actually in court. All right, so here we go.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
Sure. One of the things you talked about yesterday is you complied with discovery, right? Said that on the witness stand?
That's one of the things I talked about.
Okay. One of the things that you were ordered to do in this lawsuit, you were ordered to turn over any text messages mentioning Sandy Hook, right?
Yes.
And you didn't have it, right?
Not that we could find.
And you in fact told me in your testimony, sworn testimony before coming to this courtroom, you searched, right?
I did.
Okay. Do you remember, were you here for Mr. Schroeder's testimony?
Yes.
Okay. You remember when Owen said, the company has learned from its mistakes about Sandy Hook? You remember that?
I did hear him say that.
You agree with that?
Yeah, we certainly learned from our mistakes, got a lot better.
Okay. Mr. Jones, I'd like to show you what's been marked as plaintiff's exhibit 130. You've got it upside down. That's text messages between you and Paul Watson, isn't it?
Yes.
You mentioned Sandy Hook, don't they?
Yeah.
Objection
Let's
leading.
move 130 into evidence.
Any objection?
What's that? Show you where what?
No objection. Plaintiff's 130 is admitted.
Can you bring in 130? Let's zoom in on the little article up in the corner. I'm going to walk over to this to you so we can kind of point it. I know it's a little hard to read. You might be able to read it a little better on your screen. But this is a zoom of Mr. Watson has sent you a screenshot from Infowars.com, correct?
It appears to be.
Yeah, and it has an article here, right?
Yeah.
And it says, staged. Video shows hospital using dummies in ER for coronavirus footage. What it says?
I believe so.
Let's go to the first message from Mr. Watson. Read along with me, Mr. Jones. He says, this is a video.
Sorry, see what's there.
No problem. Take your time.
Mm. Oh, boy.
You ready?
Yeah, this, you may not think it's a problem, but it's a real one.
Sure.
Just give me a second. All right, go ahead.
Mr. Watson says, this is a video of a medical student training to intubate. Makes us look ridiculous, suggesting this means COVID is fake. Sandy Hook all over again. I read that correctly?
Yes.
Go to the next message.
And by the way, was he wrong about, you can't even mention it, right? Because pharma controls so much advertising money on these platforms, you'll literally have your channel canceled for vaccine disinformation. But what do you guys think? Do you think he was wrong about anything that Alex Jones said about COVID, its origins, and about the spike proteins and about all this other stuff? Give me a bunch of ones if you think Alex Jones was right. Give me a bunch of twos if you think Alex Jones was wrong.
What'd you tell Mr. Watson?
I get it.
Mr. Jones, it's true that this article is right now live on Infowars.com. I can pull it up, right?
I've never seen this text message. I guess you guys got Paul's. My phone didn't save them. So that's fine.
Your phone didn't save the second.
I told you guys I gave it to the lawyers and said they drained the phone, they had to find that stuff. I don't know how my phone's.
Gave it to the lawyers. They were supposed to find it. So that's what testimony is?
No, I searched it as well. I mean, so you guys have all this stuff and you say me to give me anything. It's
Mr.
ridiculous.
Jones, you know how an iPhone works, right? You've had iPhone text messaging for several years now.
Objection. It calls for an expert opinion, and it also misstates Jones's testimony. What Jones is saying is he was ordered in discovery to turn over his iPhone forensically to the plaintiff's team. And so he turned over the phone to a forensic investigator, and they found everything that was on the phone, according to Alex, that they could find. And now this smart ass pansy plaintiff's attorney is trying to characterize Alex as being a liar and perjuring himself. The guy's really a dickhead. I honestly, if I was on a jury, I would probably not even want to do anything to help a plaintiff like this because he's so arrogant. I still have a hard time believing that he won unless he had some kind of help. I just don't believe. And now we find out that the CIA was allegedly involved helping his team getting a liability verdict against Jones.
What does it mean if the messages are in blue? Whose messages are those? Whose phone is this taken from?
I don't know whose phone's taken from. I mean, I turned the phone over and said, take the stuff off.
Can I have you look in the very bottom below the very bottom left corner? Is that your phone number?
Yes. So you did get my text messages. And it said you didn't. Nice trick.
Yes, Mr. Jones. Indeed. You didn't give this text message to me. You don't know where this came from. Do you know where I got this?
No.
Mr. Jones, did you know that 12 days ago, your attorneys messed up and sent me an entire digital copy of your entire cell phone with every text message you've sent for the past 2 years, and when informed, did not take any steps to
Objection assumes facts, not an evidence. He's saying your attorney's messed up. Did you know? Argumentative, just a total dick. And so why aren't his attorneys objecting is what I want to know. Why aren't Jones's attorneys objecting?
identify it as privileged or protected in any way. And as of 2 days ago, it fell free and clear into my possession. And that is how I know you lied to me when you said you didn't have text messages about Sandy Hook. Did you know that?
I told you the truth. This is your Perry Mason moment. I gave them my phone, and then
Mr. Jones, you need to answer the question.
No,
are you kidding me?
No, I don't know.
Did you hear the judge? The guy's asking Alex a leading question, and the judge cuts in and says, "You need to answer the leading question the way that the plaintiff wants you to answer it." Do you really think that this was a fair trial? I mean, just you tell me. Do you think that that was fair? What do you guys think?
I told you I gave him the phone over.
And
you said in your deposition, you searched your phone. You said you pulled down the text, did the search function for Sandy Hook. That's what you said, Mr. Jones, correct?
And I had several different phones with this number, but I did, yeah. Well, of course, I mean, that's why you got it.
No, Mr. Jones, that's not why I happened.
Argumentative
My
leading,
lawyer sent it to
move to
you,
strike.
but I'm hiding it. Okay.
Mr. Jones?
Argumentative leading, move to strike. Jones's defense team is ineffective, in my opinion, here. And I honestly don't understand why the judge feels that it's incumbent upon her to butt in and try to get Jones to answer very argumentative and leading questions the way that the plaintiff's attorney wants him to answer them when Jones is trying to explain why there's a potential discrepancy here. And that, when I watch that and I see what went down with the CIA agent admitting that he was assisting the plaintiff's team in getting these libel charges filed and libel verdicts, what do you guys think? Give me a bunch of ones if you think that this trial was rigged. Give me a bunch of twos if you think it was fair and impartial.
Mr. Jones,
Just answer questions. There's no question. Mr. Bankston also only asked questions.
Sure. Mr. Jones,
well, that was
in discovery, you were asked, do you have Sandy Hook text messages on your phone? And you said no, correct? You said that under oath, Mr. Jones, didn't you?
I mean, I was mistaken, but you got the messages right there.
You know what perjury is, right?
Oh, God.
I just want to make sure you know.
Argumentative.
You know what it is.
Yes, I do. I mean, I'm not a tech guy. I told you I gave in my testimony the phone to the lawyers before, whatever, and so you got my phone, but we didn't give it to you.
No, Mr. Jones, one more time. And please remember, if you need to assert the Fifth Amendment, you can. I need to know that you can do that. But you testified under oath.
Irrelevant.
That you personally searched your phone for the phrase Sandy Hook, and there were no messages. You said that under oath.
Yes.
And you lied when you said it.
No, I did not lie.
Emails. You testified yesterday you don't have it. You got rid of your email 10 years ago.
Infowars email.
Oh, so now it's Infowars. You do use email though, don't you?
Not
argumentative
it's like
leading.
household stuff and things like that.
So it's
I don't personally send emails.
Sure.
My assistant does, and it's for like, broken sprinklers or whatever.
Okay. So you don't have emails about Sandy Hook. You don't have emails about this case.
You got hundreds of thousands of our emails.
None from you. And I didn't get hundreds of thousands of emails. Most of those, in fact, you would agree with me, nearly every email you've produced to me outside of maybe 100 are emails of Wolfgang Halbig and Jim Cutts. Because they sent you thousands of emails, right?
I mean, I quit opening email and using it before Sandy Hook.
Okay. So you have, in other words, if somebody was to tell me, oh, I have emails from Mr. Jones that he wrote about this case in the past couple of years, that person would be lying? You're telling the truth?
Somebody else has got my Infowars email because I haven't been using it
That's not qualified, Mr. Jones. You know, in this case, you were asked to produce your emails, any emails you had about Sandy Hook. You know you were asked to do that, right?
Yeah.
You said he didn't have it.
I told my IT people, go, you've got all that stuff.
No, Mr. Jones, I'm saying in deposition, under oath, sworn to God, you said you don't have any emails for Sandy Hook because you don't use email, right?
I mean, I think I haven't been using Infowars email, and it's got to be a decade or longer in my memory.
Now I got to tell you right here, I think Jones is hedging. I think that by his furtive and non-furtive conduct, that he probably just got caught being dishonest. What do you guys think? I mean, I'm not an Alex Jones fan. I'm a libertarian. I think that he's right a lot of times, and most of the time he's proven true later after he's been branded a conspiracy theorist. But he's another one of these guys who is kind of loud and obnoxious, and any credibility that he has, especially with females, is lost on that. And that's why I'm a proponent of trying to engage in civil discourse, not raising your voice, not shouting people down, not talking over people, because when you do that, even if you're right, it still makes you look wrong. Give me a bunch of ones if you agree. Now, guys, I got to ship out of here. I got to take my son to judo, but I would like to revisit this again later on down the road when I get an opportunity to meet you guys, hopefully tomorrow. But hopefully you guys had a good time tonight. Thanks for joining me. Vindicti, Life Under the Microscope, Cult of Odin, thanks for showing up. Thanks, Turvit Used, and all my buddies, Stick, Wicked Thoughts, Kevin E., Donald Hill, Dawn Samantis, Tanis, Kevin E., all my buddies, Just Willie. So guys, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to double tap that screen. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And hopefully I'll be able to meet you all back here again tomorrow. And with that being said, Semper Fi, do or die. Talk to you guys soon.